Hey, what's up, everybody? Mine's up, mine's up. I hope your energy is feeling good because if it isn't, it's going to feel absolutely amazing by the time we are done with our interview today. Listen, I'm feeling great. How about you, Harrison? How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling astronomically galactic.
I think I'm on planet 9 with you, whatever planet it is.
Where I come from, Tralfamador, and from Xenon.
Oh man, I don't know. But listen, will they welcome me as a visitor? I like to travel dimensions.
There we go. We live on the astral as much as we live in the physical.
For sure. Well, I absolutely want to thank you so much for tuning in today. And I'm just going to move you to the left from you just a little bit because I want to tell everybody a little bit about you and then, well, a lot of it about you. And then also have you share what this means, what this means to you with all of the amazing things that you do, and that you're just so talented in so many different ways. Sometimes I'm like, even before I set up the interview, I was like, well, where do I start? Do I tell him that he does this? Do I tell him he does that? Because you just have so many amazing things that you do, including things with Disney and just a lot of great things. So let me share with you guys a little bit about my guest today. Yes, the amazing Harrison Klein is here with us. Yay! On the fearless, confident, consciouspreneur. Because everything for us is about understanding your level of consciousness as to where you are or where you want to be. Either way, your level of consciousness is controlling it all. So whether it's your cash flow, that money is what you want, or whether it's the family flow, or whether it's, whatever it is that you would like to experience in your life and create for yourself, it all begins with consciousness and understanding your energy. So I'm honored to have the one and only Harrison Klein here, who is literally known. He is known for this, guys. He is known for literally just changing lives and instructing you the right way to play the game, right? So let me tell you guys a little bit about Harrison, all right? So to the leader, Harrison is a time expander. He shows you how to recover days and weeks for fulfilling and transformational adventures. Don't y'all want to go on one of them? I would love to go on one of them. Every day is an adventure, but I would like to have some fun with Harrison. Since he's so fun. So he is a heart-based entrepreneur. He is absolutely known as the multiplier, right? Increasing business effectiveness exponentially in a way that rings true to your actual soul, to the core of your soul, your greater purpose, right? So many times we're just doing things just to be doing things, but Harrison gets you to literally see through the rose-colored glasses that allows you to walk into your true purpose as to what you've been seeking, the things that you've been, wanting to figure it out. You're trying to figure it out, and Harrison will actually put it before you so you can see it clearly. So to the rest of the world, Harrison is a thunderclap of power. He is an innovative game changer with a massive 360-degree vision, providing his global audience with the kind of high energy, high purpose, impacting results, those results that you need that literally make a difference. Not just making you do something, but something that makes a difference, right? And what happens is they get an opportunity to wrap their arms around a fresh, new understanding of their spiritual potential. So, Harrison, I want to welcome you, and I want to thank you so much for being with me today.
So I just want to give you, the Takiyah motto, basically. Takiyah!
Yes. I love it.
All right, well, thank you for that introduction. I don't even recognize myself anymore.
I think we lost that old version a long time ago. Like now we are who we are, right?
That's it.
We
We
are
are
who
in the
we are.
moment, and the moment flows. That's all. Yeah. It's just there's only this moment. So there's no, the past and the future are fantasy parts of of our mind. There's only this moment, but it's a really long one moment of now. Very,
Uh,
very long one moment of now. So here we are. Well, thank you for that introduction. I appreciate you. All right.
awesome. So today, guys, we're actually going to be chatting with Harrison. Well, Harrison's going to be chatting with us. And guys, please share this live, okay? He's going to be sharing with us 4 harmony principles that will change your life. Now, so often you hear so many people say, this is going to change your life. This is going to change your life. But one thing I know for sure is these 4 principles that Harrison is going to be sharing with you today will absolutely transform things for you because it is going to alter your perception and it will absolutely change your perspective on a lot of things that you probably thought was so. So, Harrison, was there anything that I left out in that beautiful intro that they should know about you before we get into these amazing principles?
You have to refer them to the Encyclopedia Britannica about me or Wikipedia. No, I'm fine. Everything was great. Thank you.
For sure. Now let's hop into these 4 harmony principles. First, let me just allow you to introduce it the way that you would like to share with us. What you don't have to tell us exactly what the 4 harmony principles are per se, so to speak, but what are they and how do they help people, so to speak?
Okay. So first, let me just say that, I work a lot with CEOs. I work with coaches. I work with athletes. I work with financial people, architects, and so on and so forth. And basically, I take them to a new level of understanding, a new level of perspective. And my students have generated more than $158 million in revenue, basically, and we go to constant upgrades in different parts of our consciousness. So there are 4 harmony principles that I use to work with people in relationship and business and processing everything and progressive mastery, basically, because what we want to do is we want to get into progressive mastery. Money requires a couple of different things. If you want to get wealthy, we'll just take that for a start. If you want to get wealthy, it requires sales, it requires mindset, it requires spirit, and it requires marketing. Those are 4 things that money requires. But we're going to talk about what is the core of all that. What are the fundamentals that underlie everything? So you've heard of quantum physics, right?
I heard I operate in the magic of quantum physics.
Well, quantum physics is the study of subatomic physics, what lies beneath the level of the atom. So what lies beneath the level of the atom is really pretty interesting because what is there is it's just energy and intelligence. And if you break that down, it's the behavior of spirit. So spirit acts in a particular way. So once you begin to understand how spirit behaves, then that's the first way in knowing how to make your way into the world. It's the first place that you begin to have both perspective, power, and a sense of your own identity in the world. And so when you understand yourself, basically, the first thing that you need to understand about everything is who you are. That is the basic first principle of all harmony. I am. And the words I am are the 2 most important words in the entire English language and the entire universe, because those are the words that God put into the physical plane. I am that I am. So I am is the management of all energy. And as you make a statement of I am happy, I am depressed, I am rich, I am poor, I am, not feeling good about this, or whatever the case may be, that manages your energy. So when you say I am happy, you feel lighter and more buoyant. When you say I am depressed, your body will feel sluggish. And you can just notice that. Just test it right now if you want to. Just say I am happy or say I am depressed, and you'll feel a little bit of a difference. if you continue to repeat that to yourself over any period of time, you will go into some pretty dramatic experiences, both in the dark side or in the light side, depending upon what you add to the words I am. I am is really, the management of all energy, and it is the central experience of what happens. It's a signal to the universe to take out to completion what you add to the words I am. So if you say I am happy, the signal to the universe is give me happiness, give me a state of happiness. And you're in a state of mind. The first identity thing is to create a state of mind. And your state of mind is what governs everything else. It isn't the way that happy conditions don't make you happy. It's being happy that brings you happy conditions. So
Yes.
it's the opposite of the way. It's the opposite way. When negative stuff shows up, it's just a way to experience the preconceived way that you have set up your your unhappiness. You tell yourself you're unhappy, and then unhappiness show up to prove that that's the case. So it's never the conditions. It's always what you tell yourself. It's always your self story. So the first part is the identity. That's principle number one. Identity. Put that in the chat, please. Identity. The identity principle. The second principle of harmony basically is your self-image. So everybody has a self-image. It is how you see yourself. So, and the thing about self-image is that, you can never outperform your self-image. So your self-image determines, how you see yourself and what you do, what you like, what you don't like, et cetera, et cetera. So you can either have a positive self-image or a negative self-image, but you can't change your self-image. Whatever you have determined is you, from your identity. Basically, you can't change that. But what you can do is you can create a brand new identity, a brand new self-image. So you can't override what's already there, but you can create a brand new one, and that eventually will dissolve the old one, and you'll be in a new space. Self-image is where do we go? What direction do we go? Or what do we go toward, or what do we go away from? So all that, your self-image determines all that. So if you have a goal, if you have a self-image that has a goal that says you're going to be a star, your self-image starts to create that through your identity. Your identity starts to give you the states of mind, the information, the circumstances, and the experiences that do that. So your self-image determines whether you're going towards something or away from something. So if you go away from something, that means you're in fear. You're avoiding it. So you're in that situation. So many people have, negative self-images. They don't like themselves. They have difficulty doing this or that, and they criticize themselves, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yes.
So that's okay.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I definitely want you to finish on. But just to piggyback off of what you shared, one of the first things that I also share with my clients is that if you do not alter the image that you have of yourself, you can never create anything different, because you're trying to create something different from the same self-image that you already have of yourself, which is the one that is limited, which is the one that is unsatisfied, the one that is, sad or depressed or not ambitious, or whatever the case may be. But I do know for a fact that you must alter your self-image, more so who you are being. Wouldn't that be more valid to say? It's like, as you were saying, depending on who you are being and who you're choosing to be, then you end up, I know what I experience most is when I alter my self-image and I become that being, I literally just by default take the actions. I don't literally have to make myself do anything. Like, it just happens. You share more with me on that? That was beautiful what you shared.
Yeah. So, the fourth principle that we're going to talk about is an integration. Once you integrate all this, that becomes you. So you don't have to effort to do anything. So, and the identity and the self-image, if they are governed by the simple state of being, and the state of being is basically having to do with cause and effect, right? So there are two laws that there are. The major law in the universe right now is cause and effect. You have different laws when you get into higher different planes, but up until the fourth dimension, you have You have the law of cause and effect, which governs everything. So, like, for example, talk about money. Most people, when they need money or when they want more money, basically they work harder or they get a second job or they do other
Right.
things for it. But that's not the way. They can't sustain that for any long period of time. What
Very
they
true.
have to do is, that's an effect. See, so you're trying to work on the money from the effect. That's not how it works. You want a lot more money, you have to change the cause, because the cause originally begins and then it changes the effect automatically. Automatically. So if you have a cause that is big, always think bigger than what you think you can do. If you have a cause that is big and you have a big why, and the reason why, you're always going to get more, or you're always going to experience more than what you expected. So cause and effect. Once you start the cause, which is a state of being, so I am wealthy, which is a cause. I am wealthy.
Right.
I cause wealth. I begin. It's me, my being that creates wealth that brings and attracts that to me. So cause and effect is the prime law of the universe. You can call it what goes around comes around. You can call it as you sow, so shall you reap. You can call it karma. You can call it anything, but it's basically cause and effect. So what is the cause? What is the effect you want? So you put the right cause in place, the effect is automatic. So the place where you have to work on yourself is from the cause, never from the effect, because the effect has already been created. Understand? And this is where most people, fall short. They start to work on things from the effect. You want to work on it from the cause. As you change the cause, your world changes. So it's really, really important. So we grow ourselves through greater truths, greater perspectives, and greater experiences. That's how we grow ourselves. So everybody wants to grow. It's the law of life. Everybody wants to increase who they are, more life of any sort, whether it's money, whether it's personality, whether it's love, whether it's things, or whatever the case may be. So the law of life is to grow bigger, and being is a particular experience. So being is a state of mind. You can't do being, you can't find being, you can't create being. Being has already been there. It's been there before we were born. It'll be there after we die. So being is a state. So you can't do happiness. You can only be
Right.
happy.
Happy.
So you can only be happiness. You can't get wealth. You can only be wealthy. So once you understand how that works, you can't have anything that you're not already, that you aren't already. So you have to be something in order to have something. So you have to be a millionaire internally to have $1 million externally. It can't be any other way, because the law of attraction is similar energies attract similar experiences. So that's the way it works, is by the law of resonance and the law of attraction. So the first principle is identity. The second principle is self-image. The third principle, which is really interesting, is the belief system. What do you believe? Your belief is how you experience things in the world. So when you say, I believe this is true, that's pretty much what you're going to get if you really believe it. So you can't experience anything you're not awake to, and you can't experience something you don't believe. You cannot experience anything you don't already believe. So, we want to make sure that we have belief systems or beliefs that match what we want in this world. And if we don't believe that we can get it, we can never get it, no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try. We can't get something if we don't believe we can get it. A lot of people have poor self-images. They don't see themselves as millionaires, and they're trying to get millions of dollars.
Right.
They don't have a belief in it. They only have a half-hearted kind of, I'm going to try. That's not how it goes. Yeah. You can't
That's
just.
true. So what do you think is the biggest reason why people run from altering their self-image? Because I feel like a lot of people, they know, okay, well, I can't be this, being that. But what do you think is the biggest thing that stops them, and what is one of the underlying solutions that you have to something like that to help somebody who
Yeah.
in identity crisis? That's what you guys are in. It's an identity crisis. I'm so serious.
Yeah. So the biggest blocks to experiencing what you want are always the same things. It is fear, shame, guilt, conditioning. That is what somebody has told you about yourself that you believe is true. Conditioning is what you have been programmed to experience. So what keeps you from having anything you want is that you don't believe it. That's pretty much it. You don't have a self-image that says this is my lifestyle. You don't have an identity that says I am a millionaire, or I am healthy, or I am an athlete, or I am a CEO. You don't have those things, and you're trying to get there. That's not how it works. You have to have the state of mind first. This is the sequence of the way things work. Being, which is the I am, right? I am starts everything. It sponsors the way you think. It sponsors the way you speak. It sponsors the way you act, and then it sponsors the way you receive. And that's the way all these things work. Being creates thinking. Thinking creates speaking. Speaking creates action. Action creates the bridge to receiving. So that's the sequence of how it works. And if you understand that sequence works each time, every time, but you have to have an identity of it, and you have to have a self-image of it. And then you have to have a belief that it can be possible. You don't even have to believe that it already exists. You have to only believe that it's possible. And then the more times you repeat it, the more it becomes real for you. And as it becomes real for you, it breaks through into the physical plane, and you can have any experience you want. That's how stars are made. That's how rock stars are made, CEOs are made, billionaires are made. They have that belief that they can. They have a self-image that says, I am great. They have a set of actions, which is their self-image. They move towards something. They have an identity that they're already that thing. I'm already a rock star, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And Madonna, for example, I don't know, if you guys know Madonna, but Madonna was a rock star when she was broke in New York City and didn't have 10 cents to her name. She was ordering people around like she was already that rock star. She became that rock star way before she experienced being a rock star in the physical world. So, and so many greats, if you read their biographies and you read their stories, they are acting in that way before they actually have the things that people admire them for.
Yes, that makes sense. Well, listen, I know for a fact that you cannot have it unless you believe it. I always say, how they say, oh, I got to see it to believe it. I believe the opposite. I know for a fact that you got to believe it to see it.
Okay.
So many different things that we've been taught to speak incorrectly. But we don't need to focus on all of the worst things. But what we can focus on is what's the right way to speak over our lives. What is the right way to plant new seeds into our brain in order for us to do the right things that we do need to do. Now, you had an experience with, I believe it was called Leap, right? It was a movie about coaching.
I've been in multiple movies. I don't even know which one.
Well, Leap was the one that was a feature documentary, where they actually followed 5 people from different walks of life. I remember that. And the mission of the movie was to get people to overcome their challenges and things like that. So I know you've done a lot. You probably don't even remember.
I don't remember a lot of the stuff. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, but thank you for that. Yeah.
So share with me, since you've done so many different things, especially films, tell us a little bit about, because that is actually like proof that it can be done and that you can do it, because you've literally done it. Like, you've literally accomplished so many things in that world, in the entertainment world, as well as the transformational world. It reminds me of myself, guys. I always tell Harrison that he is my brother from another mother, and he says that I'm his sister from another mister, and that's the way that it goes.
There we go. Yay.
There you have it. And so, What's that like? I mean, even share some of your achievements that you have accomplished. And this isn't for bragging rights, but it's for proof rights to show people that you really can accomplish
Well,
things.
it depends on what you want. I mean, I've been working in the transformation field for a long time. I've been in movies, and I raised money for movies as well. I raised $32 million for a movie once. We got Johnny Depp and Selma Hayek to star in that movie. I negotiated all that stuff. What else? I've been in, I don't even know how many movies I've been in. I've been in a lot. So, and all that is somewhat spontaneous. So, it happens. I get invited, it happens. And then, I go home. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even see what I'm in. So, that just kind of works that way. But, we've built multiple businesses. We have helped transform thousands of lives, and probably we've generated more, not probably, we've generated, I know metrics wise, we've got my students have generated more than $158 million in revenue. We have created world famous people. I had a client that was broke when he came to me, and he was going through a divorce, and he was quite distraught. He gave me his last money, and within 13 weeks, he got a check in the mail, manifested, because he learned how to manifest. We taught him how to manifest. He manifested a check for $250,000. Very shortly, 3 weeks after that, he manifested a gallery. He's a sculptor now. He's an artist. So he
Yeah.
manifested a gallery in downtown New York, free,
Wow.
everything free, not a single penny, no fees, no taxes, no rent, no nothing. They just gave it to him. So,
Wow.
and he then sold his sculptures to Elton John and to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He went on to win the highest commission ever given to a sculptor in the world. He became world famous. So he got $11.9 million for one sculpture.
Wow.
So a
That's
monument, yeah, a World War I monument that's going to be outside of the White House. I believe it's going to be in December. So,
okay.
so
Okay.
they've been working on that for 3 years now. All that was part of the training and the teaching that we did. He was already very talented as a sculptor, but we gave him the tools to make a huge difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've healed people from deathly illnesses. We have worked with them to, I haven't done it, they've done it, but what I do is I point the way so that they can do it, so we
Yes.
guide them through removing the fear to things, and then we guide them to equilibrium. And from equilibrium, basically, we guide them to the desire that they want without doubt. So one of the great things that happens is that when you have no doubt, you automatically experience what you want. So the shamans of the world that have healed people simply by connecting with them, like Jesus and Buddha and other people like that, it's somebody who has no doubt. I believe, or I know, I'm even further than believe. I know I can heal you. Bam. He touches you and you're healed, just like that, because he has no doubt.
Right.
When you talk to a shaman, for example, and you say, what did you learn to have to become a shaman, to be able to do these miracles of different sorts? And he says, basically, I'm trained to have no doubt. So, and that's how power happens. The more you relinquish your doubts, the greater power you have, basically. So it's an
Right.
incredible thing. So, yeah. So, I don't know. What else do we want to go on to? Do we want
So what?
to go on to my 5 businesses? Do we want to go on to what else do we want to go on to?
Yes. So that is definitely the big destroyer, guys. I can absolutely share that. A lot of the reasons why most of y'all don't take action on your goals is because you doubt, if it's going to be the way that you want it to be, or you doubt that the right people are going to show up to help you with the things, or you doubt that, maybe I could make $100 in my business, but $100,000, yeah, right. So you literally count yourself out when you do that, right, Harrison? It's
That's
like,
right. You
yeah,
block the energy from coming into the way you want. If you have an energy that's positive and an energy that's doubtful, they cancel each other out and nothing happens. Or they distort it. They distort whatever is coming. So you
Wow.
get some distorted feature of that instead of the correct clarity and focus. One of the things I teach people really, really seriously is clarity and focus. And that's what you need to have anything happen, because the more you understand clarity, the more clear you get and the more focused you get. If I were to boil success down to one word, it's focus. So, and the clearer you get about what you want and the more focused you are, the more sensational becomes your experience in this world. So, the billionaires out there know exactly what they want. I mean, I don't know a billionaire out there, and I know a lot of them that don't have like anywhere up to about 3,000 goals written out.
Right.
And when they told me that, I started to write my own goals. It took me 3 days to write out 3,000 goals. I didn't even know what the hell I wanted, but they do. They had that out. So, it took me 3 days of constant work to write that stuff out, but it works.
Right. Right. That's very true. As I know from my experience, so writing it out helps. And I know that writing it out also has to do with your brain. There's a part of your brain that when you're writing it, instead of typing it, it kind of like,
writing is a conscious experience. Typing is not.
So I always heard them say that, but not to say I never really understood why, but the way you just explained that was really good. That brought an additional layer of clarity.
Yeah. Typing is sort of automatic and habitual in the way you move your fingers, but typing has to be thought to hand coordination. And that's different than just kind of playing with something that you put out. It engages your executive center and it engages your motor skills simultaneously. The more skills you can engage in any activity, the greater becomes your integration of that. The greater becomes that part of you that's important. And then through the aspect of integration of repetition and belief and identity and self-image, the greater it becomes you. And then you are it. And then there's no doubt. All the things that you are come to you. If you are a millionaire internally, your external money must come to you. Your external $1 million must come to you. Once you believe you're a millionaire, or once you think you're a millionaire, the external must come to you by the laws of the universe, the law of resonance, law of attraction, law of
assumption. I love the law of assumption, the law of cause and effect. Do you use the law of assumption often?
I use all the laws of the universe. That's what I teach, So yeah. I want people to have stretch goals. I don't want them to have like regular goals, but they don't, but there's got to be a limit to the way they do it. It isn't that you have no limits, but the way your subconscious will accept it is just a little bit of a stretch at a time, because you can't go from $50,000 a year to $1 million a year without, by itself. You have to have 50,000 to 100,000, 100,000 to 500,000 or 200,000. You have to stretch, but not break. You have to, so you just have to have realistic abilities, realistic things. Then you have to have skills. Then you have to have, a mindset.
You also have a strategy.
Yeah. So, and you have to have the spiritual aspect, and you have to have the skill set, the mindset, the spiritual set, and then the marketing. So for you to make $1 million, you also have to be, and this is really, really neglected in the way people understand their growth. They can get really good growth at something, but if they can't market it correctly, they can't make money with it. So they have to learn the marketing aspect as well. Now, you don't have to learn it yourself. You can delegate it to somebody else.
Hire somebody else to do it, right?
Yeah, but it has to be included in the package. It has to be included in the package.
That's true.
That's what I want. That's real.
What would you say is one of the best marketing tools that you might have come across, for especially being that you also work with coaches, influencers, and people of that nature?
I delegate all my marketing out. I don't do very much of any of it myself. But for me, high-end clients come through LinkedIn. and they come through sometimes Facebook. But I used to have now. I was a pioneer in the telesummit industry. I was one of the first three to ever do it. So when the movie The Secret came out, in probably 2002 or whatever it was, something. When that movie came out, I had an idea, and I said, okay, these guys are absolutely phenomenal. What can I do with these guys? So I said, okay, we want to teach people how to make $1,000,000. So there's 19 people in this movie. So I went to 12 of them. I got access to 12 of them. And I said, I want you to take one piece of the puzzle. And then 12 different people take 12 different pieces of the puzzle to make $1,000,000. One person takes, what's $1,000,000 lifestyle like? Another person says, what's what's the logistics that you have to know, the strategy, what is the systems that you have to have in place that you need to know to make $1,000,000. Another guy says, what is the what is the creative plane that you have to make $1,000,000? What are the ideas that make a difference in making $1,000,000? And so on and so forth. And every single person took one piece of the puzzle, and together it was an aggregate, and you had 12 different views on how to make $1,000,000, intense views. So we made millions there. So, and we just taught, I had an interview with a guy, and I probably in 2011, and I held the record on the internet for sales on the IM principles, and we made $260,000 in 1 hour, and then I made $300,000 in the follow up. So, and it was not because of the fact that it wasn't because of anything that I did. It was the fact of what I was able to transfer in my communication to other people. People were having transformations right on the call, not after they learned something, not after they went through my program. They were having transformations right there.
Right in that moment, yes.
Right in that moment. So there's some good stuff there. So we wanted to develop the skill of visualizing. You want to develop the skill of clarity. You want to develop the skill of focus. You want to get mentally tough so that nothing annoys you or bothers you.
What does it take for somebody to build that mental toughness? And as long as you've been on your journey and you've been helping people, what have you noticed?
You have to have a strong belief in yourself, number one. Number two is that you have to be in equilibrium. You have to be balanced. So in other words, you have to understand that everything is an energy field. That you have to understand the quantum. Everything is an energy field. There's an energy field for poverty. There's an energy field for wealth. There's an energy field for sickness. There's an energy field for health. There's an energy field for beauty. There's an energy field for ugliness. There's an energy field for personality. There's an energy field for depression. Everything has energy fields, and every single energy field is unique. So what you have to do is you have to tap into the energy field of being okay. In other words, you have to know that you have a purpose in this world, that you come here for a purpose. You have a mission. We all come here for a mission, and we all come here for the same two reasons. Everybody comes here for the same two reasons. One is joy, same purpose, and the other one is expansion. So expansion is the increase of life. How you do that is your free will. That's your choice. But those are the two things that you all are here for. We all are here for, every single one of it. So we start with joy. We start with, how do I feel good? So that's one thing. And one of the ways you feel good is you end judgment. You don't judge anybody about anything. You just let them be who they are, because they're already sanctioned by God. God said you can live. Who are you to interrupt that?
Yes.
So you don't get in their way. Basically, you don't have to accept everything that they are, but you don't stop them in anything that they are, because they are already sanctioned. You can change the next moment, but you can't change something that already exists. So that's really important to understand. So we get to understand how we can change. We get to understand how do we shift our mental states at any given point, especially if something is not acceptable to you in the moment. If it's not acceptable to you, you don't criticize it and try to change it. You change the next moment or another few minutes about how you react or how you respond. You don't change what's going on. You change whatever is in the future. Okay. So very important stuff. So, we understand that we have to visualize things. So in other words, the thoughts and the images inside of your head are the blueprints for what you experience in this life. That comes from your self-image and from your identity. That is the signal to the universe to give you what you want. Otherwise, if you don't have clear thoughts and you don't have clear images, you don't have clear visual images, you can't get what you want because it doesn't understand it. The language of the universe is not words, it is vibration. And what you have to do, and the way that it works is that you have a image that is impressed upon the vibration, and then the vibration then takes it and collects all the components of it and brings it into the physical plane. Now, the more you think about it, the denser it becomes. So in other words, you have a thought about getting rich, and then the next second that attracts another thought about getting rich. Oh, okay, well, let's do that with, records, and you have another thought about that. Oh, I'd like to create music that is rock and roll. And you have another thought about that. Well, I need a guitar. Then you have another thought, you just keep going on and it starts to collect and densify and densify. And then when it densifies, it breaks through into the physical plane. It breaks through into the guitar, into the music, into the thought, into the records, into the business. And you have a self-image of it. And you have a identity of that's who you are. And then you have a belief that you can get there. That it's first you believe that it's possible. Then you believe that, you can. Then you believe that there's something that you need to do to get there now, and then you begin to do it, and then you start to receive it. You start to get evidence of the fact that it's really available to you. And once that starts happening, then it starts the momentum going, and it starts coming and coming and coming. You can't even stop it after a certain point.
That's so true. Because one thing I know in my experience, based on my journey, is once you literally believe fully that you can have it and that you can do it, and these things that they are available to you, they begin to show themselves that they are available to you. Now, what happens is some of y'all get scared, and this one thing shows up, and you're just like, oh my God, this happened. But, and I get it. Sometimes you can be overwhelmed, excited, you didn't expect it, or whatever the case may be. But guess what? The more that you expect things to be great for you,
the more you get them great. The more you get them great. That's right. So
only more of that can come. And there was something else I was going to share that you just mentioned. Was it? No, it wasn't about the self-image. Oh, I know what I was going to say about building the momentum. Another thing I noticed is that it builds your confidence. Like once you start to realize that you can literally manifest and you can literally have these things, now you become a bit more confident at your ability to manifest. But you have to practice, guys. You can't, you just close your eyes one night and then it just happens for you. If you got a whole load of bullshwinky.
Let's not sugarcoat it. Bullshit.
Say it, Harrison. Full of sugar pops. Full of shit.
That's right. Bullshit. For sure.
And then you're expecting, something to come out of nothing when you still got a pile of shit just really clogged up in your brain, clogged up in your heart. Let's not even get into what you got going on.
Right. You have to clear it. Yeah, you have to clear it,
Harrison, because that heart-brain coherence is the key. And y'all, a lot of people, y'all missing that part, that they go together.
Yeah. So, you've heard of enlightenment, right? Everybody's heard of enlightenment.
Of course.
Well, most people want to grow into an enlightened state of mind. An enlightened state of mind is something that understands the wholeness of things and not the components, not the individual elements. So, we The whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. So understand that most people spend their time in their thought area, in their head area. Their energy revolves all around their thoughts, their cranium's up here. But the heart is about 1,000 times more powerful than the thought
Yeah.
and than the brain. And so, when you can drop from your head into your heart sees things very differently than your head because it has a lot more energy. So, there's a little book called Velveteen Rabbit, and he says, and the Little Prince, he says, I don't look to see from my eyes, I look to see from my heart. You know,
Mhm.
and when you stand in that space, your mind becomes the servant of your heart rather than your heart being the servant of your mind. And when the mind becomes the servant of your heart, you have the ability to project so much more energy out there. So you're always projecting energy, you're always taking energy, and you're always projecting energy. The place where things get stuck is when you stop it, when you say, okay, I just got this great manifestation, it's unbelievable. And then you forget to give gratitude for it. Then you forget to then you forget to say the same thing that I just did that helped make that happen, I can do again. But you don't. You say, all right, you start to rest on your laurels,
Right.
But in order to keep it going, in order for you to make a lot more and a lot better, you have to keep improving. You have to have stretch goals. You have to have clear visualizations. You have to have something that is not effortful, something that, when I say not effortful, I mean it's fun. There's no effort to having fun. You're enjoying yourself, and so you're not putting, you're not gritting down and trying to
Yes.
force things to happen. You're just enjoying the process. You want to be in a higher level of basically,
Allowance,
a
right?
lot,
It's,
yes,
yeah, you get the
and
allowance.
learning. Joni Mitchell says in her song, I forgot which song it was, but she says, "I don't know who I am, but I know life is for learning." You know, and so true it is. So
Yeah.
life is for learning, and basically what we want to do is completely become masters of our lives. We have to go through, progressive mastery, one little thing at a time. Determine the skills you want, determine the concepts you want, determine your identity, determine your self-image, determine what you want to believe. What do I have to believe to get $1 million? What do I have to believe to get? What do millionaires think? What do I have to believe to be a billionaire? Once that stuff starts to happen, you start to master your path. And so you start to do that. You have a lifestyle, you have an idea, you have what I'm going to bring to market. You have how do I present myself with these ideas so that it becomes uniquely mine. There's a book called The Book of Wealth, and it no longer is published, but every billionaire that I know has that book. There's only been about 150 copies made. So, and it was distributed strictly to billionaires and millionaires. Andrew Carnegie was once the richest man in the world, and he wrote Think and Grow Rich. The Book of Wealth is an outcome of the study of what has made wealth happen from the time that the record of man began, and it's
Yeah.
always the same stuff. So you have to have three elements. If you break it down, you have to and this book is like 800 pages, but if you boil it down, it's like three different things. One is you have to have unconditional self-acceptance. So that means that no matter what you do or fail to do, you still love yourself. You're going to
Yes.
love yourself. You have to love yourself, no matter what you've done or have not done. A lot of people feel very guilty about what they haven't done for their kids or what they haven't been able to accomplish.
Right.
You still are deserving of love. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, in order to make a lot of wealth, you have to have a vision that serves thousands and vast numbers of people. You have to have
Right.
a big vision, and you have to go out and you've got to implement that vision. The third thing is you have to believe that you are the one destined to do this. So your uniqueness, you were born to do this thing. I was born to have this mission of transforming other people, of making things happen for other people in a great way. I was born to make other people millionaires. I was born to make other people happy. I was born to make so I know these things. I don't have to believe them anymore. It's not something like it's possible. I've done it for so many people that I know I could do it each time.
Right.
Yeah. So, I socialize my efforts. So when I talk to people, that's part of it's part of my conversation all the time. It's not ego. It's because the ego is something that you're trained to do. The ego is negative. The ego is always negative. It's spirit. Spirit is what allows you to do all things. So there's a big difference between being spiritual and being egotistical.
Right.
Egotistical is on the competitive plane. Spirit is on the celestial plane. It's galactic. There you go. It's galactic.
And spirit just moves. Spirit just comes in and be like, we going this way. And
That's
next thing you know, you going that way.
That's right.
Ego is like, well, I want to go this way, because if I go this way, spirit is like, no. Let's go.
Yep.
Right here.
And ego is about fear. Ego is always going to be negative. It's always going to be negative. Spirit is always going to be positive.
That's so true. So true. Well, Harrison, we are approaching the end of our hour. Oh my God. I can't thank you.
Moves too fast, baby.
I know. Oh my God. I can't thank you enough for sharing this time with me. So we definitely have to bring you back, especially in some of the communities. What I want you to do is play your guitar, if you will. You guys know, music has always been my thing. Listen, we got all these amazing comments. Come on in, y'all. We love your comments. Show us some love. Don't be afraid to ask your questions. What is it that you want to know? What is it that you want to know about your mind, your success, and bringing your life into harmony, right? Just bringing yourself into balance with the true essence of who you've always been and who you always be. It's just a matter of you choosing to be that, choosing that version of yourself that is confident, that version of yourself that's the leader, that version of yourself that's the executor, that version of yourself that's the conqueror, that version of yourself that perseveres. And at the end of the day, guys, we never remember that. You don't, what is it? What's his name? Yoda. He says, do or do not. There is no try. There is no try. All right. So, yes. All right. So, any closing remarks you want to give us before you take us out with one of your amazing songs?
I just want you guys, everybody who's listening to this and seeing this video, I want you guys to know that you are so much more magnificent than you could ever think you are. And as you strip away all this bullshit that people teach you, science that society teaches you, that you're not enough, that this world is hostile, that it's all a matter of competition. As you start to strip away all that shit that they teach you, you become unlearned. And when you become unlearned, you become pure awareness. And pure awareness is joy. That's what you come to this planet for. And then you're always expanding because you're learning, because you're paying attention, you're alert in the moment, you're fast, you're quick, you're fun. Okay. So all those good things. And, if you guys want to, play with me or connect with me.
I was just going to
say, go ahead.
That's okay. I was just going to say, if you can share with them how they can actually experience working with you, because I know you have an amazing way for them to work with you. And go ahead, share with them that too before we forget. I don't want us to forget.
I don't even want to sell you guys a program. What I want to do is talk with you individually. So I'd like you to make an appointment on my calendar. If anything that I say resonates with you, and I change lives, that's what I do. So if you want your life changed or help your life to improve quickly, just connect with me at calendly.com/Harrison Harrison _ Klein, Klein. It's in there on the chat. I've already put it in there. Calendly.com/Harrison, Harrison. And you can make that with a capital letter H and K, or you can make it a small case, or whatever they call that, little lowercase or uppercase H and K, and Harrison _ Klein. And you'll get onto my calendar, and we can talk. Anything from 15 minutes to an hour. And I call those things a breakthrough call. So it'd be like an interview that we have right here. I want to find out about your goals. I want to find out about your life. I want to find out what is the most important thing to you. What have you done so far? And I want to give you direction on how we can improve that. There's no cost to you to do that. So there's no cost for you to do that, basically. And if I can help you, all the better. If I can't help you, that's fine too. Then we can just go our separate ways and be friends. And, once in a while, if you need a hug, just call me. and all that.
If you're sure.
Keep shining, baby. So, and whatever you guys want to do, if I can help you, I'm more than willing to do that. And, you just want to keep learning. You just want to stay astronomically galactic. So,
hey, I love it. Astronomically galactic. Oh! It's who you are, guys. It's who you are. So, Larissa, go ahead and take us out with something that we can jam to on the way out. Some good vibes.
Okay, awesome. So this song starts out. Now, I love to read, so I'm big on literature. And one of my favorite writers of all time is Shakespeare. So this song is about something that Shakespeare said. So I don't know how many of you guys know Shakespeare, but part of this is from Hamlet. But you'll recognize a bunch of the names in here. Can you hear this okay?
Yes.
It's a slow ballad.
I love it.
Shakespeare said so long ago, we are such stuff that dreams are made of. I need to know if this is love, or am I just another fool? We are such stuff that dreams are made of. All our dreams are quite enough. We are such stuff that dreams are made of. And all good dreams are made of love. Da Vinci said he dreamt in red, and nothing's real until you feel it. Einstein said it's all relative, and all you want can all come true. We are such stuff that dreams are made of. Every dream is quite enough. We are such stuff that dreams are made of. And all good dreams are made of love. Elon Musk. Each night at dusk, he gives thanks that all his dreams came true. You and me, sweet destiny, because my dreams led me to you. We are such stuff the dreams are made of, and every dream is quite enough. We are such stuff the dreams are made of, and every dream is made of love. And all good dreams are made of love. I'm made of love. Yes, every dream is made of love.
All right. Well, listen, the dog enjoyed it. He came and jumped right in my lap as soon as he heard the music. This is my co-star. This is Prince.
Hi, Prince. The artist once known as Prince.
Yes. This is the soul known as Prince. Yes.
Hi, Prince. Woof, woof.
Say hey.
Hey, Prince. Prince. Okay. Awesome.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Harrison, once again for being here. And guys, please do not hesitate to go ahead and make an appointment to talk with Harrison so that he can see where you are and, invite you into some things that may be able to help you go to the next level. At the end of the day, guys, we're all in this together. It's a collective thing, that we're on. And as much as we would like to think that we're all separate, we're not. All right. So we need each other, and we need to also be, that energy, space, and consciousness that we're meant to be in order for us to have what we want to have. And you need people like Harrison who can break it down for you. You need people like myself who can show you things that it's not your fault, but you do have to unlearn a lot of the things that you have learned in order to change anything. So your closing remarks, Harrison?
Hey, stay astronomically galactic. You're wonderful. You're terrific. You're amazing. You're phenomenal. You're outstanding. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. And stay happy, okay? Stay good. Stay wonderful and make some money. Have some enjoyable experiences.
For sure. Well, thank you guys again for being here. We appreciate you. And until next time, thank you again for tuning in.